Hello Internet, my name is Andrew Eder, and welcome to another episode of Film Editorials. You know, it's kind of funny, I really don't like spiders, but I'm pretty okay with Spider-Man. Given that sentence, and the title of the video you clicked on, it should come as no surprise that the topic of this week's video is Spider-Man Homecoming. I feel like this is the part of the video where I should launch into a whole long explanation on why this movie is called Spider-Man Homecoming, and I think that has to do with the rights between Sony and Marvel and Disney, but I don't think I'm actually going to go into the full explanation. First, and most importantly, it's because it would take way too long. Secondly, I think a lot of you already know it. The short version is that the rights were given to Sony to make all the Spider-Man films, and they keep doing that to make sure that their rights are fresh, but after the failure of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the success of movies like The Avengers and Captain America, Sony decided that they could team up again with Marvel Studios, and so this movie does have Iron Man in it, like, the comic books do, because they all live in the same version of New York, the Marvel Studios version. Up to this point, Spider-Man has been on his own, which has caused a lot of weird legal things going on, and that's why the story is so long and why I've shortened it so much. Moral of the story, the homecoming in the title refers partially to the time the movie is set as like a homecoming dance, but mostly I think it's a statement on the fact that Spider-Man is now once again part of the larger Marvel universe. Spider-Man Homecoming obviously tells the story of Spider-Man after the events of Captain America Civil War. He is expecting to be involved in a lot of the other Avengers missions that are going on. He keeps waiting for Tony Stark to give him a phone call so he can go hang out with the other Avengers and help them on their missions, except that never happens. Since Spider-Man is really young, Stark has him being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man kind of thing instead of the globetrotting Avenger. This kind of rubs Peter Parker the wrong way because he feels like he's being left behind, but then he stumbles into this whole elaborate villainous scheme and decides to stop that because no one else seems to be taking it seriously. This time around, Peter Parker / Spider-Man is being played by Tom Holland, and I think he does a really good job. First off, Tom Holland is not American, and his American accent is basically flawless. I didn't know he wasn't American until after I left the movie and I was watching some interviews about the film after the fact. So that's impressive on its own. Second, and plain and simple, he's a good actor. You really believe that he's, basically a normal kid who just happens to have superpowers, and he feels like a normal kid who can just do extraordinary things. That's really not surprising for Marvel movies because at this point we've kind of seen that they can get good actors, but it was just really nice to see that this new Spider-Man, this young Spider-Man, and a relatively unknown actor did such a good job with the role. Something you might have noticed about my little recap a while ago is that I didn't mention an origin story, and that's one of the things I really liked about this movie. It did not tell Spider-Man's origin story. They reference it a little bit, they have a little conversation about it, but they don't go into a lot of detail. Uncle Ben isn't in the movie at all. I don't even think they say his name. They kind of mention again that Aunt May is having some trouble, but they don't say why. They don't say what would cause that. It's really about Spider-Man in this story, fighting the Vulture. That's what this story's about. That's what they stick to. And that's really a good thing. In a similar vein, this movie is self-contained in that, yes, it does have Tony Stark / Iron Man in it, but this isn't an Iron Man movie. Iron Man is kind of this weird, flawed, absent mentor, but it's not about him. This movie really is about Spider-Man. I can't stress that enough. It doesn't bother with a whole lot of universe building, which some of the other Marvel movies have fallen trap to, so that was really nice to see as well. This movie is also really, really funny. I would classify this movie almost as a comedy action movie, not an action comedy, because it's so funny. If you've watched the trailers at all, you know that there's a lot of funny stuff in those, and you might think, oh, that's gonna be all the funny stuff. Nope, not even close. The movie is genuinely funny from start to finish. This is easily the funniest Marvel movie after the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I definitely think this movie was funnier than the second Guardians of the Galaxy, and that made this movie enjoyable and totally worth the money on its own. Of course, this being a Marvel movie, we gotta talk about the villain. Marvel movie villains up to this point have been kinda hit or miss. I think this movie absolutely nails it. Michael Keaton plays the Vulture, and I'm not really giving anything away, A, because That's in the trailer. B, because he adopts that identity like 10 minutes into the movie, so I'm really not spoiling anything there. And he does an excellent job. Michael Keaton, of course, is no stranger to superhero genre, so it shouldn't be surprising that he does a good job with it. But the thing that makes him stand out from a lot of the other Marvel villains is that he's multifaceted. I'm not going to say he's really complex, because there's only so many things going on, and the movie is really about Spider-Man and his issues, but you see more than just the, oh, I want to kill everyone in the universe kind of attitude. And that was really nice to see. The only problem I had with his arc is that I think he goes from being a thief and a gangster to a murderer a little too quickly. In fact, when he makes that transition, they almost play it off as a joke, except then he goes on to fully embrace that new persona. And that felt a little out of place. Now, I know a lot of you have already seen the movie at this point because I am a little late with this review, but I'm still not going to give any spoilers away, so I'm just going to say vaguely that I like where his character ends up at the end of the film. I felt that that was a really good moment, and I think it would be really nice to see if a lot of other villains were treated the same way. Leave me a note down below in the comments section how you felt that this was handled. Please remember to be spoiler free, just in case someone has, been on vacation or something and didn't get a chance to see the movie. Another thing that was cool about this film was that there was a twist near the climax. Again, I don't want to give anything away. I didn't see it coming, and apparently no one else in the theater saw it coming either, because when the twist happens, you could hear just about everybody in the auditorium gasp, and that was a really cool moment. One of those moments where it feels really good to be watching a movie in a public space with a lot of other people. My main complaint about this movie is I don't think it has a strong set of morals that you're supposed to walk away from. Spider-Man especially is famous for the whole with great power comes great responsibility thing, and this movie basically ignores that tenet entirely. In fact, this movie almost seems to say that sure, you have a good amount of power, but you don't have as much power as other people, so you don't have as much responsibility as those people who have more power than you. And that's a really complicated message, and a really weird message to have. It's almost like, you're doing a good job, but you're not as cool as you think you are, so slow down a bit. And that's a really weird message to have, and a weird thing to be walking away from this movie feeling. So that part I didn't love so much. Okay, so I'm gonna have to give Spider-Man Homecoming 4.5 stars out of 5. I really did like this movie. It's incredibly funny from start to finish. I think they really handled their villain situation incredibly well. And this movie wasn't an origin story, which is a real positive for me because I've already seen that story twice in my lifetime. That's far too many times. On the negative side of things, I think the message of this movie is a little muddled, and though I really love what they did with the Vulture in general, I think he goes too quickly from gangster to murderer. Okay, I think that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, share it with all of your friends, add it to your favorites, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on social media like Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. Leave a comment down below about how you felt the villain situation worked itself out, or just what your favorite joke was. That'd be fun. Lighten up the comments a little bit. And as always, don't forget to head over to The Good News Review, tgnreview.com, or their iPhone application. They are a sort of online newspaper that deals with positive, substantive news stories, which we can always use more of. That'll be all for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye!